Today feel any different for you than yesterday?
No, listen, it's just business as usual. Go out there and get another good practice in, get some reps with the guys, and kind of continue to work towards what we've been all training camp. So
When did you kind of know that you were going to get named the starter?
when Kevin told me, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, you keep your head down and you just try to do your best. And felt like I was having a good camp with the reps that I was given, and that's all you can do.
So I know you've done this a million times, but are there extra emotions attached to, now you're 40 and it's been a couple of years since you've been the week one guy for anybody?
Yeah. I don't know if I was very emotional about it, but listen, you don't take for granted opportunities in this league, especially to get one at this point in my career is definitely special. But like I said, it's pretty much business as usual and just kind of trying to get better. So.
Is it your understanding of the starter for the season, or go further? No.
Well, we all know how that works. I mean, that's everybody in the league. But it's not really my job to look at it in that way. It's just to kind of go out there and play my game, kind of like I've been doing, all training camp, and not worrying about, all that stuff. Just going out there and playing my game and being the best I can. So.
Do you expect to play Saturday, and do you want to play? I assume you want to play.
Yeah, I do expect to. I think there's a lot of value in preparing yourself to go play a football game and getting your mindset ready for that. So.
Joe, now that the question's been answered, right? Just where are you at, and where do you feel this offense is at this point, getting ready for this season?
I think we all feel pretty good. Now it's like, listen, you only get a certain amount of reps out there, and I think we've made the most of it. And I think that's every team in the league to a certain extent. I think the good thing about this week is we kind of get to put ourselves through a little bit of a game plan and kind of simulate what we would be doing during the year, and I think that's going to give everybody that extra confidence to take that next step.
Joe, the old training camp adage is that the defense usually starts at the offense, but it seems like you guys have been gaining some steam recently. Why do you think offense takes a little longer to gel in an offseason?
It's so tough to tell these days if that is actually the case, just because you're not out there with a ton of reps. But I mean, typically on offense, I'm sure defensive guys look at it exactly the opposite that we do. But on offense, one guy can mess up and it wrecks the whole play. On defense, one guy can be the only one to wreck the entire play. So it's kind of like, I think a lot of offensive guys at least view it opposite. I'm sure defensive guys would tell you differently, that they need to kind of play together as well. But it truly is a team sport for a reason. And on offense, everybody needs to be on top of all their shifts, all their motions, all their post-game, all their post-snap, changes and all that. And if one guy happens to be a little bit off, then the play doesn't work. And I think it's always it always takes a little bit of time to get all 11 guys operating on full cylinder, especially when you're rotating a bunch of guys in during training camp and you have a bunch of guys taking reps. It's just it just makes it even a little bit harder.
Where are you from a physical standpoint? The last time we obviously saw you play here in Cleveland was 2 years ago, and the calendar has turned a bit since then, of course. So where does 40 find you, just in terms of arm strength, mobility, and energy, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that I've shown some people that over the last couple of weeks that have watched the film and that we've been out there with. I feel as good as I ever have. You get tricked a little bit when you're in a locker room with all these guys. You just kind of assume you're in your 20s, and you keep telling yourself that. But I really do feel great. My arm feels just as good as ever. My legs feel really good right now to do the things that I'm going to have to do. So, I feel ready to go.
Hey, Joe, would a 22-year-old Joe Flacco believe he'd be starting as a 40-year-old?
I hope that he would believe it, yeah. If you told him, he'd probably be a little bit surprised that he's actually still playing at 40 years old. But I hope that he would believe it for sure. It's tough to go back, and in a lot of ways, you're probably a little bit more cocky as a 22-year-old than you are as a 40-year-old. So I've probably come down to earth and mellowed out a little bit on certain things. And yeah, my 22-year-old self, I think, would believe it for sure.
You touched on this for one second, Tony. You're a part of a small group now that's going to start as a quarterback in his 40s. How much pride do you take in that?
Well, it's interesting, man. I think over the last, it's always it's always one of those things that, like, I think as a football player you just want to play, but I think you got to give a lot of credit to obviously Tom for anybody even thinking about doing it. Obviously there was guys before. You have, Warren Moon, and I talked about it a couple weeks ago, Vinny Testaverde and other guys that have done it. But I mean, he pushed the boundaries like he did in absolutely everything. No surprise that he did it in that way as well. But I don't think it's necessarily something that I actively think about until people kind of remind me with texts and things like that, and you guys ask me about it. I don't think it's a huge deal right now, but I'm sure when I look back on it, it'll be pretty cool.
Joe, you haven't practiced with Isaiah Bond yet. Speed is well advertised. What does that 4.39 speed bring to the offense?
Yeah, listen, I think anytime you bring that kind of speed to an offense, it can help a lot of things out. Run game, short passing game. I think when you have a guy like Jerry on the other side who can really, we have a lot of confidence, can win against anybody, it makes it harder for defenses to kind of, maybe pay more attention to him and things like that. So, yeah, it can open up, all kinds of possibilities.
We ask you all these questions about how's your arm feeling, how you're doing physically. I feel like mentally it would be an advantage to be around longer. How much do you understand defense now as opposed to when you were 25, let's say?
Yeah, listen, I think the thing that as you get in the league, no matter what position you are, the part of it that you deal with mentally that maybe is a little bit of a struggle, not an advantage, is that you got to fight like the boredom and the monotony of doing it for so long. I mean, we've all been playing football since we've been teenagers, and at some point we all will be done. So I think when you can kind of get into that 10-year area, there is a part of your brain that wants to make it, oh, I'm doing this again. And I think that I've been in a good position the last few years to kind of get over that mindset. But I think that's the one actual kind of drawback that you have as an older player, is that you do have to fight some of that, or you had to fight it throughout your career. Now the advantage is I think I've gotten over that to a certain extent, and now and you feel very good about where you are. And all positions, but specifically a quarterback, you definitely should get better as your age climbs up, because and even if there's things that you haven't seen before and somehow somebody's creating something new, it's just the way that you react to that is a little bit more, you can tell is a little bit more experienced than a younger guy, that it might throw him off a little bit. So yeah, there's definitely advantages as you get older in this league, no matter what position you are. If you can keep your physical health, then, the more mentally sharp you are, the better you're going to be.
Joe, I know that. Have you heard from a Tom Brady, or I know Aaron's Rodgers has got things to do this camp, but have you heard from any of those other guys that have made it past 40 and are still doing this?
No, I think that's probably one of the things I'm not great at, is reaching out to people and leaning on people. I'm sure they'd be open to kind of share whatever. So I wish I was, to be honest with you, I probably wish that I would be better at that and be able to kind of reach out to some of those guys and see how they've dealt with it, because obviously, nobody's done it better. But I haven't to this point.
It's a couple of weeks away, but, it does seem like you're primed to return to Baltimore in week 2. They're going to have a 30-year anniversary celebration. In the back of your mind, now that you know that you're QB1 right now, does that kind of creep in the back of your mind?
I love playing in Baltimore. Such a special place, unbelievable fans, division game. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. So, that is what the plan is, and it would definitely be very exciting.
Joe, when you got here in 2023, it was real obvious how the locker room gravitated to you immediately when you walked in the door. Have you experienced a similar thing this year? And is it possible to recapture that? I know you want to keep that in the rearview mirror, and it doesn't really factor into your scope on the future. But it just the way it came together felt so special. Are you able to kind of recreate that this year?
I think that's all about going out there and winning football games. I think that's the one detriment of kind of having to split up reps so much during training camp, is you'd like to gain that rapport with guys, not just to show them, not just to get better on the field with guys, but also show them hey man, I'm the guy, let's go have some fun. So hopefully over the next few weeks, we can make that happen. It's all about winning in this league.
Have you-
If you can look at that, then it'll feel pretty special.
Have you had the chance to talk to the other guys in the room after you've been named the starter?
Yeah, we all. I mean, Kevin came in the room and talked to all of us, and then we all talked. We've all talked. I mean, yeah, we're in there. We're this close to each other every single day. I mean, there can be some awkwardness, but at the end of the day, like, we're all adults. We just want to be honest with each other, and we want people to be honest with us. And at the end, like, if you get that, we've all been through situations like this. You feel good about whatever it is. Honesty is the main thing. Looking somebody in the eye and having a conversation with them is the main thing. It doesn't mean you're going to be happy and all that with whatever's happened and going on, but I think that's all that any of us can ask for. So listen, the guys in that room are extremely professional, and we all know how to handle ourselves, and we're friendly, so it is what it is.
What was your message to them?
I didn't have a specific message, you just kind of like, you're just in there and you kind of address it, and then you go on as usual.
Hey, Joe, I think you said that you've had pretty much the same routine forever. But as you got older, maybe in that second decade in the league, did you change anything? Did you add anything to stay fresh?
Listen, I think developing a routine in this league is super important for many reasons, physically, mentally. Making sure that you stay in the moment, I think, is one of the biggest ones, is just kind of concentrating on what's important in that moment, not getting ahead of yourself. In terms of a physical aspect, like, I'm really lucky to be with my trainer and kind of like progress as the years have gone on, and a lot of the same things, but always doing something new and more exciting. I mean, a couple years ago, it's like when you're 12, 13, all through high school, like, I look back and I was like, I came to the realization, like, man, I was in really good shape because I was playing football, I was playing basketball, I was playing baseball, I was running around with my friends playing pickup games. Like, that's how you that's a big part of how you stay in shape. So it's like when we get to adults and you get into the work world, you stop doing that things. And it's not any, like, just because I'm out here running around on a football field every day, yeah, I'm a little bit active, but it's still only an hour and a half. Like, so I think I came to the realization, like, oh man, I got to get back to doing some of those things, like playing games and having fun and doing so, because you're just kind of out there doing it, and you are getting in shape, and you're moving laterally and forward and doing all those things just to kind of keep your body as active as possible.
Is there anything that surprises you anymore?
I don't know if I have a specific, but yeah, I can be surprised for sure.
Since you left
Just a couple more.
Baltimore, the teams you've been with since your Baltimore career, it seems like the 4 games in Cleveland stand out. Why do you think that is? Numbers-wise, wins?
Well, listen, I think if you look back, like, to this roster, they've had a pretty talented team. And I think specifically that year, I can attest to it. They had awesome guys up front. A good running back room, good receiver room, really good defense. To win in this league, you need to have a team, and a coaching staff that's ready to go. And I think probably that Browns team more than any of the others were maybe just a little bit more in that zone where they were ready to win. I mean, I was on some other talented teams too, maybe a little bit younger and not quite ready to get over that hump yet. But
When you talk about fighting off the boredom, did Shador bring a little bit of a different twist or spin to it? Because I just saw you guys laughing, so often, and did his presence kind of help keep things sort of light and fun for you this game?
for sure, I mean, you're always looking for that. That's what being a part of a team is all about. Making those connections with guys, it puts us all in that better mindset. In order to play really well, you need to be in a great mindset. And I think, having those relationships and being able to laugh about certain things, but also get your work done is a big part of being successful.
No one's as happy that you're in the starting role than David Njoku, who's been posting all over his Instagram. What is your relationship? And you just kind of describe your relationship with David.
Dave's awesome, man. I mean, he refers to me by my full name. He's been doing that since I've walked in the building a couple years ago. Dave has a lot of energy, but most importantly, he's a hell of a player. You just got to get the ball in his hands. That's the biggest thing. And listen, I hope we can keep that enthusiasm going as the season starts and moves on, because he's a lot of fun to be around. And if we get things going well, then it should be pretty fun.
Call you Joseph, or does
No, he just calls me Joe Flacco. He
Joe
says my
Flacco.
last name. You know.
It's not like Gage calling you Mr. Joe. Is that kind of funny?
It makes sense, you know. I don't know. Like in my experience, a lot of kids these days kind of call their parents' friends by their first names, but and in my case, everybody kind of everybody knows professional athletes by their first name, so it kind of makes sense. But Mr. Yeah, if I heard him say that, I'd probably say, hey, let's cut it out on the Mr.